Ellen McIsaac here. Justin Knowles. Nardi Lopez. We have a quorum.
Would anyone like to lead us in the pledge of allegiance?
Please stand. Put your right hand over your heart. Ready? Begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Do we have any public comment for items not on the agenda?
None.
Do we have any public comments concerning agenda items? Moving on to the consent agenda, we have a recommendation to approve the monthly personnel report. Any questions, or should we proceed with a motion?
I'll make a motion to recommend to approve the monthly personnel report 6/16/2026.
A second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, moving on to item C, reports and informational items and discussion. Item 1 is the 2026-2027 proposed local control and accountability plan for the Pond Aerospace Academy.
Good evening. Welcome to our local control and accountability plan continuation from our last board meeting. So you're going to see some of the things that we talked about last meeting. You're also going to see some new things we're going to stick in there for this meeting, which is the BOP, the budget overview for parents, and also we have the local indicators we'll be talking about. And at the end we'll be doing the public hearing for the LCAP and the BOP. So, as I said in the last one, this is the third year of our LCAP that we've been working on. You can see it in the LCAP that you have in front of you, the updates for the progress that we made on the goals and the revisions that we made into the actions. We've also changed into the metrics, into the data that's been changed. You're going to find that since this is the third year plan, that there's not going to be any significant changes to the LCAP, to the goals or the actions. And the LCAP and adopted budget must be aligned and approved at the same time by the board of directors. It's you guys tonight. And so, the last board meeting I went over the first two columns. This column I added the baseline growth. So you're going to see that the baseline came from 2 years ago when we first made our current LCAP. Year one, we had to have, you've seen lots of data, the staff sees lots of data. You have to have the data from where we started, and that's the baseline. So you're going to see the star reading the very first time we took it. Overall, our very last time we took it, we actually went down 9 total points. All these scores, they go up and down throughout the year depending on the different grade levels and the students. So the star math, and that's the elementary also, is -6. Early literacy plus 10 points. NWA math and reading, we had no baseline data because we only did it this last school year. It was the first time. So we had no baseline data to compare it with from 2 years ago. And then the fully qualified teachers at 80%, that's actually up 23% from 2 years ago. And our A through G completion rate at 68% is actually up 7%. 2.3% reclassification rate went up from 2 years ago. And our suspension rate went down, which is what we're looking for, chronic absenteeism rate. We talked about last meeting how we're at 11.7, which is an excellent job that they're doing. It's actually decreased 26%. That's a big decrease. And our daily attendance rate is up 7% from 2 years ago. And our youth truth climate, same thing that we had from our last board meeting. The only difference is I added the plus and the minus percentages from 2 years ago. Our baseline data from the beginning of the LCAP. So you're going to see for the parents, it's very impressive in the middle of relationships and connectedness. The reason that there's 2 words in there is because it started 2 years ago. It was called connectedness, and now they changed the title to be relationships. You can see over on the engagement part for the elementary, in the middle went down a little bit from 2 years ago. For the students, safety, the elementary, all the way across for the engagement and the relationships was the highest. The lowest on all 3 was somewhere either in the middle of the high school. And then same thing for the staff. You're going to go safety, 75%, 35 to 29. The elementary and the high, you can see drop down from 2 years ago. The culture dropped down in the elementary from 2 years ago, but it's still our highest at 50%. And then the engagement, 70, 65, and 43, all went up from 2 years ago. Any questions on that data? Okay, and then in response to the red, this is a new requirement that we have to report out on for this school year. The red is any students that are in that, when I'm up here with the dashboard, and you do the different colors in the dashboard, the red is the students that have, in the bottom, the lowest score that you can get, but how they're identified on here is because it's now the second year of being down there and they did not improve in that second year of being in the red. Suspensions are LTALs, the long-term English learners, and students with 2 or more races. Chronic absenteeism rate is for all subgroups. English language arts is our LTALs, and math. LTALs, English learners, students with disabilities, and socioeconomically disadvantaged students. And this is what our actions we have in the LCAP to address those needs. We're going to continue to increase the level of the rigor from the classes, from the teachers. That is the thing that we started last year when we worked with our teachers, brought in the consultants, had our coaches work with the teachers. They broke down the math and ELA standards, deconstructed them, and they worked on that level of rigor, how we can get higher expectations for our students to help with that. ELD staff development, we're going to do that. That is one of the things that is 3 of the 4 PD days next year will be on that specifically. You want to increase the modeling and vocabulary in all areas, especially in math, because that's where most of our students struggle with, is that academic language. Increase engagement. Every time we did a walkthrough this year with admin, it was always looking for student engagement. And then our K-8, work on our target interventions. Our elementary school has been doing that. Our middle school started that this school year, and our high school is doing their credit recovery. And to provide services, support for social, emotional, behavioral needs. And the last 2 is to focus on our chronically absent students, and then working on the A through G, increasing that. Any questions on those? Okay, those are all the educational partners that we talked throughout the years. In this last school year, none of those groups indicate any significant changes. In fact, when I met with the DLAC parents, it was all continue what you're doing, as opposed to making any changes to it. And then here's our goals. So in the last Tuesday, we had the implementation, we had the changes in there. This time I'm throwing in the material difference and the effectiveness on it. For the actions that have been planned, most of the actions from goal 1, as you know, is to provide a rigorous and engaging educational program, supports all students becoming college and career ready. We've added coach and support. The elementary had a coach this school year. We had a middle school coach all year long, and then after a few months, we were able to hire a high school coach. Our coaching has been successful for us. Material difference, many of the actions have a material difference from budget to the estimated actuals, primarily due to increased salary costs and some positions that were left unfilled for the school year. And some actions were funded with different funding sources when you get into that one-time funds we can use for some of that stuff. For the effectiveness, most of the actions, based on when we collect our data, the metrics, and you'll see a chart later on that shows all the different data that we collect, are aligned to the goals and action and beginning to have or are having the intended impact. Increased effectiveness of the AVID program at the high school especially, and then coaching support's beginning to be effective because the coaches now have gotten that into that system of the plan, observe, debrief, and working with the teachers. Student engagement has increased, instruction is more standards aligned, and some of the PD we found out was determined to be more effective than some of the other ones. And our changes, our action, we're going to add additional tech support staff to help with the cloud services to support our STEAM programs. 1.14, coaching support, addition of the coaching cycles. We're going to have get substitute teachers so that our coaches can pull out a teacher to work with that teacher and get more of aligned with what they need specifically. And then 1.21 credit recovery. We're starting next year for subject instead of the other program we have been using. Will be for high school credit recovery. Goal 2, multi-tiered system of support with academic, behavioral, and social emotional supports all across the academy. Most of the actions have been implemented, and an intervention teacher was not provided at the high school due to hiring challenges for us to be able to hire one. Material difference, some of the actions again. Material difference from the budget estimated actual expenses were not implemented at the middle school because of the intervention teacher. Increases in negotiated salaries impacted actions that included personnel costs, and some expenses were charged to other funding sources. For the effectiveness, some actions, and we again using all of our data and the metrics chart that we keep, where the goals and actions are beginning to or are having the intended impact. PBAS is in the beginning stages of the high school. Our elementary school, I had heard a little rumor that they will be the first time ever here at the Academy, they are going to be earning the Platinum Award, which is incredible. And professional development was more differentiated to support various needs of staff. Plan to reduce chronic absenteeism has effectively reduced the percentage of students chronically absent. And our link crew and web crew have had a positive impact on the school climate, and more students are engaged in activities during the school day. For the changes for, well, that should be for 26, 27, sorry that didn't get changed up there. Changes for next year, we're adding action 2.5, professional development, includes staff training on unconscious bias, and action 2.6, support for long-term English learners, the LTELs. And they were listed on multiple spots on the red to implement Project GLAD for grades 6 through 8, where we have a large chunk of LTEL students. And our last goal, goal 3, safe and positive school environment where all students can thrive and reach full potential. Again, most actions have been implemented. We did not hire an additional nurse to provide the health services as initially planned. However, health services have been provided with 1 nurse and 2 LVNs. Material difference, many of the actions have material differences from budgeted to estimated actual expenses. Some actions were funded with funding sources. Some actions that included personnel had increases due to negotiated salary increases. And some contracts, like PK, were not implemented because we did in-house instead of the PK. Outside people come to train our parents, we did the in-house training for that. And I'm sorry, reading PowerPoints is one of my least favorite things to do. Effectiveness, most actions based on metrics aligned to the goal and action are beginning to or having intended impact, and our extracurricular activities were expanded this year during lunch, which included non-athletic activities and based on student preference. And next year, there'll be no changes to the action or metrics and that goal. That's
Gary,
fine.
really quick, can we go back to goal 2? Where it says changes for 25, 26, should it say 26, 27?
Yeah, that was the one I set up. It should be on there.
Okay,
That
I
was
somehow
a
did not process that.
typo error on my part.
No problem.
Sorry. On that. That one should be 26,
Okay.
27.
Thank you.
Gary, I just have one quick question. You said that you had input, when you went to your input, you said
Sure.
you. Okay, so how are you getting that input? Or is there a survey that you sent out to be, how are they putting in there?
So we do 2 surveys throughout the year. The students, the parents, and the staff all get a survey. We meet with DLAC. They meet multiple times throughout the year. I come in here and I go over the LCAP with them. We go over the dashboard with them so they see all that data. Some of these same presentations that you guys get, they get, so they can keep an eye on what we're doing here. And then I do like these posters on the wall. So I put up the posters, I give them all sticky notes, and we talk about the goals when they go over the LCAP. And then they have a chance to put on keep, change, stop, and they give feedback on this. And this last time that I met with the DLAC, it was all keep, stuff that we're doing on there. They're very pleased with what we're doing with that. Okay, sure, you're welcome. Okay, so then we go on to this is the metrics I was talking about. We collect a lot of data, and we collect the data throughout the year. And that data is something that we will continue to use again for next year, because in that big spreadsheet chart that we have, we're able to keep track. That goes all the way back to our baseline data that we had from 2 years ago when we started our LCAP. So those are all the different things that we collect data on. And then the Learning Recovery Emergency Block Grant, this is another thing that's new for us to present on. The LREBG, it's one-time funds that we have to spend, and it goes through 27, 28, right, Roseanne? And but they must be included in our LCAP, and we have until June 30th to spend it. And while we're gonna use some of that money, the LREBGs, and this is in our LCAP for our goals, is Teacher Summit Professional Development, Goal 1.1. That is what we just had this last week. We had a very successful week-long PD. I know some of you were able to stop in, so thank you for stopping in and checking us out. The professional development with Solution Tree and NWA to continue to come and support our teachers. Credit recovery program we're using with 2 subjects next year. And the summer robotics camp, that's starting next week for our middle and elementary students. And our after-school academic support, which every school had a little piece of this last year. And now it's time for the BOP. So the BOP, this is the 26-27 budget overview for parents. It's a part of our local control and accountability plan process. The budget overview provides a summary of the funding the Academy expects to receive and how those resources will be used to support student success. Based on current projections, we anticipate receiving approximately $48.9 million in total revenue for the 26-27 school year, with the majority of the funding coming through the local control funding formula, the LCFF. For the upcoming year, TPAA plans to spend approximately $47.5 million, with over $45.3 million directly aligned to the goals, actions, and services outlined in the LCAP. A small portion of expenditures not included in the LCAP will support district needs such as the new math curriculum adoption, classroom remodels, and parking lot improvements. The Academy will continue investing in services that support our high-need students, including low-income students, English learners, and foster youth. The Academy projects receiving approximately $7.4 million in supplemental and concentration funding, and we're on track to spend this money towards services and supports for these students. All planned actions and services were implemented during this past school year, and the Academy will continue those supports in 26-27. Any questions on the bottom? Okay. Next up is the local indicators, but before we go on with the local indicators, any questions on that? Okay. All right, so the local indicators are reflected for us on the California dashboard. The results get reported out to the CDE and shared with you here at the board meeting. So our local indicators, we have 5 that we are required to report out on every year. We are required to report out on priority 1, appropriately assigned teachers, access to curriculum-aligned instructional materials, and safe, clean, and functional school sites, facilities. Priority 2, implementation of state academic standards. Priority 3, parent and family engagement. Priority 6, school climate. And priority 7, access to a broad course of study. So for the first priority, teacher credentials, instructional materials, and facilities, we have met that priority. This last school year, we had 122 FTEs, full-time educators. Of those 122 full-time teachers, 105 had a clear credential. We had 6 intern teachers, and there were 11 that the state considers ineffective. We don't consider them ineffective, they just means that they're not fully credentialed. So they're still working on their credential piece of that one. Students without access, this is, every year we go around and do the Williams Walk. We had 0 students that did not have their own copies of standards line instructional materials, either at home or here at school. And there were 0 instances where facilities did not meet the good repair standard. Priority 2, implementation of state standards. We met that priority also. That has to deal with strategies for achieving this priority as annual professional learning, PDs that we do with our staff, district-wide benchmark assessments, and the PLCs that we have implemented in the last 2 years that they're doing it for their staff meetings. All academic standards reported a 4 on the rating scale that we give, which is full implementation, except the CTE, the Career Technical Education in the Visual and Performing Arts, which is a 3, because that is the beginning implementation where we are getting started on making that better for our students. And overall, we met priority 2. Priority 3, the parent involvement and family engagement. Under the building relationships section, between family and staff, all areas except 1 is a 4 for full implementation, 5 fully implementation, with sustainability is on 1 of them, and supporting staff to learn about each family's strengths, cultures, languages, and goals for the children is something that we are in the beginning stages of, which is why they have the 3. And also building partnerships for student outcomes, all areas except 1 gets a 4 for full implementation. And one we're working on with the beginning implementation is implementing policies or programs for teachers to meet with families and students to discuss student progress and ways to work together to support and improve student outcomes. And then seeking input for decision making, again, all areas except 1 is a 4 for for full implementation. We're providing opportunities to have families, teachers, principals, and administration work together to plan, design, implement, and evaluate family engagement activities at school and district levels. We are just in the beginning stage of bringing everybody together to make that plan. And overall, we met priority 3. Priority 6, school climate. Again, we met this priority. This is our Youth 2 survey that we send out at the beginning of the school year. All educational partners care about our school. We understand expectations and trust teachers and staff members. Connectedness and belonging are areas for growth. Based on our data, to continue getting feedback from our students, and there's different ways that we get feedback from our students. We do empathy interviews with them, holding student council meetings, providing surveys, and through the superintendent's student council. Strategic classroom walkthroughs with a focus on student engagement, and we collect data with the principals, and provide professional development focused on student engagement and improve the school culture. We just did, that was a big piece of last week, the student engagement, when we did our summer summit. And then the last one, priority 7, access to a broad course of study. Again, we met this one, and based on our course offerings of class schedules and school schedules, 100% of our students in K-12 had access to a broad course of study, and no barriers are reported for TPAA to continue to provide all students with access to a broad course of study. That's the end of that. Any questions on our local indicators? All right, well, thank you very much. So next up, we go to, on that agenda.
All right, I'm going to close the board meeting at 5:52 p.m. And then we're going to open the public hearing to receive input on the proposed 2026-2027 local control and accountability plan at 5:52 p.m.
Julio? Yes. Thank you.
I'll take roll call. I know Farad's trying to log in as well as we're speaking, but I'll take roll call. Cheryl Gardner,
Here?
Vicky Lee,
Here.
Dennis Trujillo,
Here.
Ellen McIsaac,
Here.
Justin Knowles, Nardi Lopez, and Farad Tashpalat. We have a quorum.
My phone is on silent. I didn't know my watch would ring. My watch rings anyway. My phone's on silent. I don't know.
So I don't see anyone here in person. Do we have anyone on Zoom trying to provide public comment?
No, actually, Rock just joined, but nobody else.
Okay. I'm gonna close the public hearing on the LCAP and then open the public hearing to receive input on the proposed 2026-2027 fiscal review for parents.
I'll call roll call. Farad Tashpalat, Cheryl Gardner,
Here?
Vicky Lee,
Here.
Dennis Trujillo,
Here.
Ellen McIsaac,
Here.
Justin Knowles, Nardi Lopez. We have a quorum.
Hey, can you guys hear me?
Yes. We just took a roll, so say present.
Present.
Thank you.
I can't actually see you guys. I just see the desktop screen.
Yeah, it's just a time clock on there.
Yeah, we're not sharing anything right now. We're just
Okay.
giving an opportunity for the public to comment. All right, it appears that there's no one who wants to give input in person. Was there anyone on Zoom?
No.
Okay, closing the public hearing on the budget overview for parents at 5:55. And then we are going to call that to order the public meeting of the Palmdale Aerospace Academy Board of Directors at 5:55. Would we be able to take attendance one more time?
Yes. Farad Tashpalat,
Present.
Cheryl Gardner,
Present?
Vicky Lee,
Here.
Dennis Trujillo,
Here.
Ellen McIsaac,
Here.
Justin Knowles, Nardi Lopez. We have a quorum.
Okay, so we are on new business. We have one item before us, recommendation to approve the 2026 to 2027 local control and accountability plan, the 2026 to 2027 budget overview for parents, and the 2026, 2027 local indicators self-reflection. Does anyone have any questions or discussion? Call for the motion?
Make a motion to recommend to approve the 2026-2027 local control and accountability plan, the 2026-2027 budget overview for parents, and the 2026-2027 local indicator self-reflection.
I second.
All in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, with that, we can adjourn this meeting of the Palmdale Aerospace Academy Board of Directors at 5:57 p.m.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks.